Welcome back to N's Notebook LM. You know that feeling, right? That frustrating moment when a name or a fact or something you know just disappears? We all treat our memory like this leaky bucket we're always trying to patch up. But what if I told you that's all wrong? That for over 100 years, a powerful guide has been arguing the exact opposite, that your mind doesn't leak at all.
Today, we are cracking open the secrets of the trained memory, a book that says your memory isn't the problem, it's just waiting for the right key. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about that shared frustration. Then, we'll uncover what your mind is really capable of. We'll get into the secret laws of how you recall things, bust some major myths about memory, and finally get to the good stuff, how to truly remember anything. You ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, Section 1, the frustration of forgetting. We're constantly told we need to improve our memory, to make it stronger, like it's some kind of weak muscle. But this whole idea is built on the belief that our memory is just inherently faulty. And that, right there, is what makes us so anxious about it.
I mean, think about it. You meet someone new, you shake their hand, and poof, their name just vanishes into thin air. Or you pull an all-nighter for a big test, you feel like you've got it down, and then you sit down, and it's just a total blank. It's experiences like these that convince us our memory is this limited, unreliable thing. But the source material for this whole explainer says that thinking is a profound error.
And that brings us to Section 2, your mind's treasure vault. Now, get ready for a major shift in perspective. The problem isn't your brain's storage capacity. The problem is retrieval. This book makes a radical claim. Your mind doesn't actually forget. It perfectly records and holds on to every single impression you've ever had. Yes, every single one.
Here's where we all get it wrong. We confuse what we can voluntarily recall, the stuff we can pull up on demand, with what we've actually retained. According to the author, our retention is perfect. It's total. Every sight, every sound, every feeling is permanently recorded and stored away in this massive treasure vault in your mind.
And if you want proof of just how powerful this subconscious storage is, listen to this incredible story from the poet Coleridge. He tells of an illiterate servant girl who, in the middle of a fever, suddenly started speaking fluent Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. It turns out, years before, she'd worked for a pastor who used to pace around reading his scholarly books aloud. She never understood a word of it, but her mind had recorded it all, perfectly.
And this isn't just some one-off story. The book is filled with these kinds of examples. People who, after some illness or accident, suddenly start speaking a language they hadn't used in decades, or remember events from when they were literal babies with crystal clear detail. It's like these moments give us a peek into the huge, hidden archives we all have in our heads. The book uses this amazing metaphor. We are all sitting on acres of diamonds. This immense wealth of knowledge and experience is already inside us. We just don't have the formula, the mystic combination, to get to it. So, what is that formula? And how do we find the combination to our own mental vault?
Well, that brings us right to Section 3, the secret laws of recall. If everything is already stored in there, what is this lost combination? How does our mind choose what to bring to the surface? The answer, it turns out, is all about how our memories are structured.
You see, our memories aren't stored like individual files in a filing cabinet. Nope, they're organized into what the author calls complexes. Think of these as interconnected webs of ideas, feelings, and even physical movements. Nothing exists on its own. Everything is linked.
And these complexes are incredibly powerful. For example, the book points out that for someone with severe hay fever, even a paper rose can make him start sneezing and get watery eyes. Why? Because the sight of a rose, the idea of a rose, and the physical allergic reaction have all been bundled together into one powerful complex that just fires off automatically.
And these complexes are governed by a few basic laws. The law of integral recall means if you trigger just one part of a memory, the rest of it can come flooding back. The law of contiguity says that things you experience close together in time or space get hardwired together. And the law of intensity means that really emotional or frequent experiences create the strongest links. This, right here, is the combination of the vault.
Okay, so let's move on to Section 4, Why Memory Drills Fail. This gets into a huge misconception, the very thing that most memory training programs are built on. We're always told to practice memorizing stuff to make our memory stronger.
The book says this is completely 100% false. Think about it. If your retention is already perfect, what exactly is there to strengthen? You don't need a bigger vault, you just need to get better at finding what's already inside. Doing brute force memory drills is like trying to open a combination lock by just yanking on it harder. It doesn't work.
And this really shows you the two different paths.
On one hand, you have what the book calls the torture of the drill, just rote memorization. It fails because it's boring and it's totally disconnected. On the other hand, you have the real path to recall, consciously building rich associations, linking new information to things you already know, and this is the most important part, things you actually care about.
And this is really the heart of the whole thing. We don't forget because our memory is weak. We forget because our interest is weak. When you are truly deeply interested in something, your mind automatically creates tons of strong connections, and recall just happens effortlessly. Memory doesn't follow effort, it follows interest.
So that brings us to the final section, how to truly remember. Okay, enough theory. If drills don't work, what are we supposed to be doing instead? How do we actually put this into practice?
The basic principle is surprisingly simple. You need to stop trying to strengthen your memory and start practicing the art of making connections. The more hooks you can hang a new piece of information on, the easier it's going to be to find it and pull it out later. It's that simple. So the book suggests exercises like these. And notice, none of these are about memorizing random lists of words. They're practices designed to train your habit of observation and association. By forcing yourself to really pay close attention to all the details of a room or a city street or your own day, you are actively building those rich, interconnected memory complexes.
And really, that's the ultimate key. Understanding that your mind connects ideas through association and that recall simply follows those connections, that is the formula. It's not a trick, it's just learning to work with the fundamental operating system of your own mind.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If every single experience you've ever had is still in there, perfectly preserved, what forgotten knowledge, what lost skills, what amazing moments are just sitting there, waiting for you to find the right connection to bring them back to the surface? If this topic has captured your interest and you'd like to dive deeper, the book is called The Trained Memory by Warren Hilton.